25 years ago, 1 year into the turn of the millennium, the world had left the decorated decade that brought us Britpop with the arena screamers of Oasis to the grounded English reflections of Pulp and Blur, the era which delivered Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Alice in Chains, and the desperate grit of grunge music. The era which brought us to a movement which cannot be understated really, the wave of European electronic dance music which stemmed from Midwestern American genres like Chicago house in the 70s and 80s. Trance, house, techno and Eurodance electrified the movement into mainstream success and sparked the soul of dance floors across the world. Today we're zooming in on a French house duo, one of the most famous, critically acclaimed and glorious acts to rise from the eclectic explosion of European EDM. And today we're going to be looking at their greatest work. Today, we're looking back at Daft Punk's discovery. The turn of the millennium will be sure to elevate aspirations and inspire hope for the future. You can ask me, I remember it. However, whilst leaving behind an entire decade, an entire century, it provided a perfect opportunity to begin reflecting and building upon the ground that the 20th century had laid out. To me, this is the ethos of discovery, a gaze into the past and a leap into the future. Discovery was of course released on 12th of March 2001, released by Virgin Records. It was primarily recorded in their home studio and is now 2-time certified platinum. Amongst many other things, Thomas Bangalter and
Guy-Manuel do Mem Christu
had a few specific ideas in mind when creating Discovery. The first one is their approach to the songs themselves. With Discovery, we played with new forms and song structures and vocals as well, but it was pretty much the same thing, only with chords and harmonies and layers of frequencies. But there was also a thematic idea in mind. This album has a lot to do with our childhood and the memories of the states we were in at that stage of our lives. It's about our personal relationship to that time. It's less of a tribute to the music from 1975 to 1985 as an era, and more about focusing on a time when we were 0 to 10 years old. When you're a child, you don't judge or analyse music. You like it because you like it. You're not concerned with whether it's cool or not. Sometimes you might relate to just one thing in a song, such as a guitar sound. The album takes a playful and fun and colourful look at music. It's the idea of looking at something with an open mind and not asking too many questions. It's about the true, simple and honest relationship you have with music when you're open to your own feelings. Before listening to anything from this record, the album title gives us a glimpse into those ideas. Discovery, the act of finding something new. While this wasn't Daft Punk's aim, as in I don't think they made a dramatic left turn on this album from their previous music, but they did certainly manage to discover new ideas musically, and they did it by directly pulling from their influences and purest experiences from the past. And what more direct way can you pull from artists than by? Discovery is widely renowned for its detailed, visionary sampling. It pulls from a wide variety of genres, and the duo cut and coordinate them with electric precision. So there are a lot of great videos on YouTube which break them down, so I'll show you a couple of my favourite examples just to provide some clarity to what I'm saying.
Silence at night, we'll find a way to. Autumn winds will blow right through me. It's Sunday. Back to the days of Christopher Robin and Hood.
fine with the examples that I've shown. The grooves of funk and disco provide nostalgia-infused vitality to these house tracks. Their approach to sampling on Discovery really supports the ethos I was talking about as well. They predominantly took from the 70s and 80s, so going a few decades back, likely taking snippets and ideas that they heard since they were children, but manipulating them to create entire new grooves, rhythmic patterns and melodies which make them blend in seamlessly with all of the other modern instrumentation that they were using. Basically, every single sample was heavily altered by the use of a variety of effects. You have EQ and filters, which just cut off certain frequencies and enhance others, so you can basically mold the sound to how you like it. Pitch shifting was extremely prominent in the 90s with house and hip-hop, and other effects like saturation and compression were also heavily used. You also had these cool stretched out samples which create these like spacey, like interstellar sounds with the help of reverb, delay, and phaser effects. The usage of these effects isn't exactly groundbreaking. They're very commonplace in music production even at that time, but they're just used in a very tasteful, very effective way to create the sound that they were going for. It's kind of hard to do it justice how cosmic but grounded this album sounds, but I think we should discover a little more about them. The album preceding Discovery is called Homework. Now, Homework is a frenetic and varied assortment of house tracks which contain a lot of different ideas sonically and different sonic textures. It's a cool experience, which a lot of people love. I really like it, and it certainly has many moments of magic as well. But kind of as sharp and as raw, I guess you could say, as Homework is, the musical direction that Daft Punk took on Discovery was essential to give us a more evocative experience. I'm referring specifically to the greater focus of songwriting and song structure, which I showed you from the quote earlier. Homework has a greater emphasis on catchy repetition, punchy rhythms, and gritty texture. Discovery doesn't drop these elements, but it just builds on the core ideas differently, and I'm going to talk about some of the songs and moments which make them stand out in terms of sound and structure. So One More Time, which is the album opener, is a very positive and uplifting track, focused on living in the moment, dancing and feeling so free. The track has an extended section featuring solely vocals on keys, with all the other elements slowly fading in, all those elements that it started off with, and it kind of culminates into its celebratory climax. It's a really nice bit of contrast. The distorted guitar arpeggios completely transport Aerodynamic into another world, only to fall to the grace of these majestic like ping pong synths and phasers towards the end. Towards the centre of the album, the excitement is kind of broken up by the ambience of night vision for a couple minutes. Composition of Veridus Quo has been stated to be essentially a classical Baroque piece, beautifully mixed with different synthesizers. I spoke about this song in my 3 Songs for Winter video. It's one of my favourite songs ever. In terms of contemplative emotion, this track certainly is just one of the most potent. It seems to conjure kind of a profound sense of longing and nostalgia within me. It's just really beautiful. Short Circuit as well has an amazing ending. There are these detuned synths and like this minimal kick snare rhythm which keeps going, and they eventually kind of crush and mangle themselves out of the track. And these sort of textures aren't rare on Discovery per se. It's definitely one of the more bolder moments, but they serve as great moments of contrast to all the quieter moments, and that's one thing I really like about the structure on this album. As we can see, there's quite a lot of variation in their arrangements, and there's still an abundance of hypnotising repetition, but the songs progress in more meaningful and more traditional ways, which is cool because I don't normally see traditional song structure as necessarily a point of praise, but in the context of Daft Punk, dance music, and the goal of this album, tying the past and the future of music and experience together, it's just really fitting. So just steering away slightly from the composition and structure, I want to talk about sonic texture. Now, if you don't know, basically it's just different layers of sounds that help to flesh out the sound and feel of a song. Used constantly in music production and created in a massive variety of ways. One of the ways they created distinct texture on Discovery was their use of effects, of course, but also with the variety of instruments. So typically a 909 drum machine and an 808 drum machine were pretty standard for the genre at the time, but Daft Punk decided to take it back and play around with some different kit, like the Oberheim DMX and a Lindrum. Now these drum machines all have different ways of sequencing, but the distinct sounds is what helps to create the different textures. So the Oberheim loads 8-bit digital samples, which are obviously quite low fidelity. None of the Lindrum are higher quality and use different types of samples. Having a variety of different gear and combining them with the samples created a lot of unique different soundscapes. They also used a variety of different synthesizers as well, like they had the Roland 106, they had the different versions of the SC Prophet, and quite a few more. Now, there's an awesome interview where they talk about all their gear and production methods on this album. Thank you to the Wayback Machine. I'll link it in the description if you want to read on, because I'm not going to list, every bit of kit that they used here. But what I'm getting to really is summed up by this quote by Guy Manuel. The instrument itself is not as important as the way we use it. Instruments come with certain instructions in the manual, and many people can't look beyond those rules. People ask us why we like to use vocoders or electric keyboards from the 60s, but to us, instruments are just tools. The idea is more important than the instrument. One of the cool things about the house music spirit is that it inspired musicians to use instruments for things that they weren't designed to do. I don't want to sound patronising here, but it sounds like childlike exploration, in the best way possible. It feels like a pure and curious approach to creation, not just using what's new or flashy, but just trying different things out and seeing what happens. Feels really authentic in that way. To me, the quote in the interview completely cement how Discovery makes me feel. It just does feel so expressive and wondrous. I mentioned the vocals earlier, and they have far more presence on Discovery. The use of vocoder and auto-tune effects create the signature robotic sound, but the songwriting grounds them to humanity. One More Time, Digital Love, Something About Us, and Face to Face specifically bring forth dramatic and heartfelt emotions. Going back to One More Time, it just feels so anthemic and grand. The way the vocals are treated with effects and the way they're panned make it feel like they're exclaiming these words through a cosmic vortex. The lyrics are so genuine as well, it's almost impossible not to feel the love sort of pulsing out of them. This is certainly the same for Digital Love and Something About Us as well. I do understand why some people view the songwriting as simplistic and cheesy, but to me it's just real. I like the simplicity, I like the minimalism of the lyrics. I feel like there is a distinct lack of pretension in the lyricism of these songs in any way at all. So the sampling, the songwriting, the structures, the instruments they use, the effects, they're all absolutely breathtaking. If you haven't heard the album, you need to take my word for it, and more importantly, you need to listen. The album sounds and feels incredible to take in. As a full-on experience, it is definitely one of my favourite albums ever. It is just fantastic. But for me, there is more to discover. So I started this video with references to time and different emotions like nostalgia and hope. And while I flipped it to gush about the individual elements to make this album musically awesome, that was necessary to do, but let's just flip this back. I think for all of Discovery's musical diversity, the catchiness and the sonic glory, the ideas that stick with me is the core idea that an album produced by two people who dressed up and performed as robots created a work, to me, which encapsulates the beauty in our human lives and really appreciating our lives. Like I said earlier, to me this just encapsulates expression, creativity and wonder and appreciation. Discovery speaks to me about having fun, not taking everything too seriously. Truly, I love this album for its focus on being in the present, looking to the future and appreciating the past. Also, by the way, Harder, Better, Stronger is literally the greatest song ever made. Like, the grooves in that track are absolutely ridiculous. And also you have Crescendos, which is just unbelievably hype. Mate, like, every song is an absolute fucking banger on this. Like, every single song. Thank you for watching. If you haven't listened, of course, I would recommend it. This is one of my top 5 favourite albums ever. It is just an absolute masterpiece. It's pretty difficult with this video because it's hard to say what, hasn't been said already. This album is now 25 years old. It is, a behemoth in its genre. So my goal for this video, kind of like most of my other videos to be fair, is just really to kind of focus on some of the aspects that I find really cool and like basically just celebrating the main points of this album, how great it is, and hopefully if someone, who sees this hasn't listened to it, I'll inspire them to go listen to it, because really if you kind of open yourself up to this album, it is fantastic. It is such a great experience to listen to front to back. Really, really varied, great sounds, really catchy, super hypnotic. Like it's just fantastic, man. It's brilliant. I do want to apologise for not mentioning every single track as well. I know there's a couple I didn't mention. Ultimately, I just didn't want this video to be too long. That was fucking shit. Okay, thank you for watching. Take care.